Hello, my name is Anjani, and today I'm reading an astrology chart for a couple. This is called the Synastry reading. So basically what we do is look at each chart individually, just with the relationship material, and then one of these bi-wheels, which is both people's information put on one chart. So before we start, I always like to call in sacred space and just whatever that is for you to set aside the time to listen to the reading and be really present and available for learning some new information. I like to light incense, bring a candle, have a notebook ready to take notes. And I've already done that here, so you can pause the video to do that if you need to. We're going to start off by looking at the male partner's chart. So what we're going to do is look at his lineage, the things that he's already mastered. This is sort of his area of expertise. So we look at the moon and at the south node. So for him, he's got the Aquarius job in the Capricorn tribe. So we can see that by the south node and by the moon. So basically what this says is that this person's area of expertise, this is going to be where he feels his strongest, most perfect. You know, there's really nothing he has to do to try in this area. So as a little boy, his parents would have noticed these traits about him, actually. So the Capricorn tribe is, this is the tribe of good parents. We actually, when a male has his moon in Capricorn, this says that his strongest foundation is in having foundation. So creating his own foundation. And then with the Aquarius job, he's able to do that in a way that is on the leading edge, on the cutting edge. It's technology, it's information, it's very cosmic. So this would be sort of like the chief, the tribal elder, who is also very in his light body, able to go really far out as far as information and being able to sort of have big thoughts, be a big dreamer, big innovator, and also being very stable and like rock-like. So that's his specialty or his area of expertise. And the next thing is what he is here to learn about, his sort of growth edge. So this is an area that he might not be very comfortable with. His is the Leo job in the Capricorn tribe. So North Node in the 5th house is like Leo. His rising sign is in Capricorn. So we call this Leo job in the Capricorn tribe. So when somebody's moon is in the same sign as what they're rising into, it's like this person has already mastered being Capricorn. Capricorn is one of the archetypes that is currently being sort of transformed. So we used to think of this as the chiefs, the elders, the forefathers. It's turning into more of a circle of grandmothers, more of a I don't want to say feminine because there's so many weird things around feminine, masculine, but it's softening, still being badass, and ultimately the ones who are setting structure for the next 7 generations. But it's in a little bit of a flux right now. So Leo job, Capricorn tribe. What he's here to do and learn about is being a chief, being being in the circle of grandmothers and doing it in a way that is on center stage. So what this might mean for this person is going from being specializing in being the old version of Capricorn, which might, I would say, being a dictator, being the boss, knowing how to do things and wanting it to be in that certain way. And then moving into doing it in more of a way that is for the next 7 generations. So seeing that as being less of a dictator and more of listening to the needs of everybody in the tribe or in the structure, whatever the setting is, and being able to create something that's sustainable for the next 7 generations. So with the relationship material for him, his inner masculine is Taurus, and we mix, so that's his Mars. He's got Mars in Taurus. We mix Mars with the rising sign to find out what flavor of the masculine he is representing. So Taurus sort of blended together with Capricorn. So this is a form of the masculine who is very in the body, loves food and nice things, rest, relaxation. Taurus can be somewhat of, as the Mars, can be somewhat of a, I like to call it a pretty boy who is sort of, likes to receive. Taurus likes to receive. It's at its best when it's in receivership of the pleasures of earthly delights. So Taurus is like a tantrika, a connoisseur of pleasure and delight. When you mix that with Capricorn, you get this sort of flavor of the masculine who is very firm, solid, stable, and also into receivership. So that's the form of the masculine. The next thing we look at is the feminine. So this is where we can see what kind of woman he might be interested in. And the reason is because this is his inner feminine, but often a man will project that outward, which means that he'll see women with these sort of glasses and perceive women in this particular way. So for him, he has his Venus in Aries. And on the descendant, which is the form, okay, so here we have who am I, and over here is who are you, and this is known as the relationship axis. So for this person, the relationship axis answers the question, why on earth would I ever want to be in a relationship? And for you, it's really about creating stable families, having the new version of home. So really focused on, the house, the garden, who's going to cook, who's going to clean, setting a new structure for raising children, for having healthy households. This is a householder relationship axis. So the form of the feminine that he's most interested in is Aries combined with Cancer. So what we do is sort of give this an archetypal image, putting together this feminine who is fierce, warrior goddess, with Cancer, who is usually like a big-breasted, motherly type of figure. So fierce warrior, but it's like a warrior mother. We could call her like a midwife, or a midwife, just meaning that midwife is usually a fierce thing. They're warriors. And then the Cancer aspect is very nurturing, soft, very full-figured, feminine, what we consider to be the earth goddess. So that's the relationship, or the type of woman that he's most interested in. So for her, his partner, she has as her lineage, what she's already mastered, Cancer. And actually, it's the Aquarius job in the Cancer tribe. So this is basically, this chart is very similar to mine actually. And this is, so right away from the, both of these people's lineage, they have a very, pretty much perfect synastry in their lineage. There's a lot of pluses to that and a lot of minuses to that. So they both have householder lineage. Again, lineage is something that you've mastered. You're already a master of this. It's not something that you have to try. This is also where there's karmic patterning, addictions. It's something that's very deeply ingrained. You could almost call it your soul's DNA. So this particular couple has their perfect polar resonant, like in resonant polarity. Cancer, Capricorn are, that's the perfect couple. The thing is, this is the lineage. So for these two to be in relationship, it might really keep them stuck in their lineage, stuck in their DNA, stuck in their roots, continually playing out the role of mother, father, continually keeping their, staying stuck in the house, doing the house things. And that's not bad necessarily, but we want to be moving into the rising sign. So for the male partner in this relationship, it could be good for him because he's rising into Capricorn also. So he's learning how to do Capricorn in a new way. But for her, it's like she needs to be moving out of the role of mother, out of the role of the Cancer lineage. So for her, her rising sign, what she's here to learn about is the Leo job in the Taurus tribe. So she's moving into, being, so for her, this is the relationship axis. Taurus, Scorpio is known as the path of Tantra. So when, for her, asking the question, why on earth would I ever want to be in a relationship? It is more about maximizing pleasure, having maximum intimacy, and how can I have the most pleasure with the least amount of pain? So this is where her growth edge is learning about Taurus. So the thing that could happen very naturally is that this couple would fall into doing their lineage, which would be fine for him, not so good for her. So it's really important in this relationship for her to be on the leading edge of moving into her new school and not get so stuck in doing the deeply rooted Cancer things. For her, inner masculine is Pisces and Scorpio. So for her, the form of the masculine she's most attracted to is going to be this this energy of Pisces and Scorpio. And her inner feminine is Aquarius. And you mix Aquarius with Taurus. This is her form of the feminine. So, only things to really know about the inner feminine and inner masculine. It's more important individually, for him to work with his inner feminine and inner masculine. And I'll attach an article that has some things to do to unite them within. It's called the sacred marriage, when you own both your inner feminine and masculine within yourself. And then the same thing for her with the Venus and Mars material. It's more individually for them to work on, but fun to know. You can sort of see what each would be interested in, and just knowing that material is really helpful. So for you, for the male in this relationship, it's good to know that she's interested in this certain form of the masculine, which Mars and Scorpio, Pisces and Scorpio together as an archetype is, we can say, sort of musician, shaman. It's like bringing maximum life force energy and having this sort of healing, sensitive, empath, all mixed together. So that's her form of the masculine that she's attracted to. And for her, what she might want to know about him is that the form of the feminine that he's attracted to is this warrior, nurturing, sort of like fierce mother. If you can put the two together, then you can understand what the man is interested in, and it's just fun to play with. I don't ever say that somebody should, enact a certain role for their partner, but it is nice to know that when he's admiring her, it'll likely be for those traits of being fierce, strong, and very feminine. And for her, when she's admiring him, she'll likely be noticing those things about him that are sensitive, empathic, the musician archetype that is very deep and intense, intimacy, everything that goes with Pisces and Scorpio as a combination. Now we're going to look at the synastry of the two charts together. So what we can see here, first let me take a break. I went through those two things very, very quickly. So this is basically a sample reading. If I were doing this in depth, that little chunk of, it took 16 minutes to go over that. That would have been about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then this next section we're going to read would be about 30 to 45 minutes also. But I'm going through it quickly, just giving you a little taste of a synastry reading, seeing what the flavor is, what we cover in a synastry reading. So here we have, he is on the inside and she is on the outside. So you can see his stuff in here where all his planets are, and then on the outside you can see where her planets are. The things that I've highlighted here are what show up as the most important things, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conjunctions. Conjunctions are like the most, they pop. They show up first. It's like the first things that would have drawn this couple together. And if you just have one of these things, it's considered to be, what's the word? Compatibility. If you just have one, it's considered to be a compatibility. This particular couple has 6. So this is like a very, very, there's like, so when these two met or first saw each other, there would have been a electric explosion in a way, bringing these two people together. So we'll go over a few of the things, probably not going to cover all of it because it's a lot. It really is a lot. Let's start off with the very first thing that I noticed on this chart was that her rising sign is within, so when something's within 10 degrees, we call it a conjunction. That means that they touch each other in a very intimate way. Her rising sign, which is what she's learning about, is conjunct with his north node, which is what he's also learning about. When something's conjunct the north node, it's known as a progressive relationship because his north node is his evolution, where he's going. And her rising sign is what she's here to learn about. So basically that it's both of them are learning the same things. They're both going in the same direction. And then he has Chiron over here. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. Also, Chiron goes really deep into alchemy, into sexuality, deep, deep intimacy. And they have his Chiron conjunct to her rising sign, which would say that, sort of his deep sensuality, wounds, his magic, basically, stimulates her into her growth, her realization in this lifetime. So that's huge. That alone is huge. First thing I noticed. Second thing that I noticed here was that his sun is exact to her Juno. Juno is known as the relationship indicator. It's, we often call it a marriage signal, a sign for, like what's important for somebody to merge with somebody else. And for her, Juno is in Pisces and his sun is in Pisces, and they're literally just less than 1 degree apart. So that's a really exact conjunction. So where he shines the brightest, which is what the sun represents in his chart, where he shines the brightest, it exactly touches what she's most interested in for long-term relationship. What we call marriage, which basically with Juno, it's like merging two things together. It has to do with money, fully embodiment of two things merging together. So the easy thing to call that is marriage indication. The next thing is her sun and her south node are also conjunct to his sun. So they're within 10 degrees of his sun. Very, very symbiotic when two suns are conjunct each other. It's a natural, they shine in the same way. Her south node is there, which says that for her individually, her sun, the way she shines, carries heavy influence from her past, from her DNA, her lineage, whatever she has deep in her, as far as like her roots, the tribes that her lineage is from, like deep stuff is up. It's in the, it comes up and shines over everything. So that combined with Juno for her and with his sun is a very, very symbiotic connection. That in itself would say that this couple is super compatible. The next thing is Mercury. So her Mercury and his Mercury are within 10 degrees, saying that they get each other intellectually. They'll have an intellectual connection, perception, cognition, and having good conversation. Really, really nice having Mercury connections. They have that also. The next thing is, and again, I'm going through these really, really quickly. Each one of these on their own has great significance, and I'm just kind of glossing over to get this all in a 30-minute video. So the next thing here is Jupiter conjunct Venus and her midheaven. So this is her Venus and midheaven together, and his Jupiter is exact within 10 degrees. It's actually about 6 degrees apart. What this says is that for her, her feminine, the way that she shines as a goddess is right on the midheaven. So her contribution to the world being, bringing the goddess in her, the way that she brings the goddess has to do with cosmic consciousness. And his Jupiter touches that. So by him coming in, he blows up that area of her life. So blowing it up meaning like the way she contributes, the way she shows up as a goddess, he expands that, because Jupiter expands, evolves, brings evolution to whatever it touches. So he touches her in that way, which brings evolution ultimately and brings out her form of the feminine. This next thing over here is his south node, which is his lineage, his past, his roots, which is conjunct to his midheaven. So saying that the way he contributes to the world has heavy essence of his DNA, his lineage, his roots, his addictions, we could say karmic pattern. So the way that he's contributing to the world carries that vibration. And the connection that they have here is her Uranus. Uranus is a change agent. It basically when you put those two, so what Uranus wants to do is get you off of your usual, which it's funny because that's what she's doing to him, and it's right on his patterns, his karma, his, you know, deep lineage root connections. So that piece of her that is cosmic consciousness and also being a change agent, being radical, activates on his patterns. And the way that he contributes to the world gets a big change, a big assemblage shifting from being in relationship to her. So I'll go ahead and stop here. That probably, you know, each one of those pieces, you'll need to pause the video and write that down and see what that means. Ask questions if you need to. It's a lot of information to cram into 25 minutes. That would have been a 90-minute reading. So just to give you an idea of the connections between these two charts. And thank you so much for letting me read the charts. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I look forward to connecting with you soon.